Good morning, Basketball Nation. This is Danny Thompson from RallyAssociation.com, and this is the Rally Association podcast for Friday morning. We're getting ready for the NBA's first Friday night of the season, and let's get you caught up on everything you missed in Thursday night's action and get you set up for the 9 games that are set to go on Friday night. Before we go, follow the show and follow the website. The show is everywhere you're going to be able to find it. On Spotify, on Spreaker, on Google Podcasts, on Podcast Addict, as well as iHeartRadio. So please follow the show, tell a friend, pass it on to everywhere else, and you can follow me on everywhere in social media, on Twitter at Danny, D-A-N-N-Y, the number 3, Thompson on Twitter, as well as follow the show and the website on Facebook, which is Around the Association on Facebook. Check us out on Instagram at Beyond the Buzzers social media page on Instagram as well too. So a quick little 3-game schedule in the NBA last night. 3 games, 2 of them were on national TV, and the other game was an early game in Detroit. So let's catch you back up what you missed last night around the association. So let's start off with the game of the night, which is out in Houston in a matchup of the last 2 MVPs and a new superstar in Houston comes together as the Rockets and Bucks tipped off in Houston. Well, this game was really one of those games that was back and forth. Both teams had their moments in the game, but it all came down and what settled down was the fact of the Milwaukee Bucks took care of business by a score of 117-111 over the Houston Rockets. Giannis Antetokounmpo, or the Greek Freak, how you like to pronounce it, had a humongous game, a triple-double for Giannis last night. Now, most importantly in the game last night, Giannis did foul out. So Giannis fouled out. Most people thought that this game was going to be a chance for Rockets to come back, but the Rockets steadfast, got some huge shots down the stretch from Brook Lopez and Chris Middleton in the victory last night. Giannis once again had a huge game. I think it was his 15th career triple-double last night. He finished with 30 points. I think it was 13 rebounds and 11 assists in the game last night. And really, and for a lot of the game last night, it was really much of there was a lot of control in this game last night for the Milwaukee Bucks. They used a lot of different weapons on the floor. It was mostly guys who have been there before. The Bucks, I think, had 7 players in double figures last night. Like I said, led by Giannis' 30 points. They got big baskets from Chris Middleton, who struggled most of the night. Brook Lopez, who finally found his shot late in the game. And then you had guys contributing. They had 6 guys in double figures. George Hill also had 8 points as well, too, to help in the victory for the Bucks last night. But it was Giannis' 15th career triple-double in the game last night. Bucks got, like I said, contributions everywhere. Wesley Matthews hit a couple huge shots down the stretch. Eric Bledsoe struggled in 16 minutes. He had 11 points. Chris Middleton he dropped in 11. And for the Rockets last night, the reason why the Rockets didn't win this game last night, because they struggled. Even though Russell Westbrook had 24 points and 16 rebounds and 7 assists, which was Russell Westbrook type numbers, James Harden had 19 points and 14 assists, but Harden did shoot abysmal. I said abysmal, 2 of 13 last night from the floor. And what saved James Harden's bacon last night was the fact that he got to the line 14 different times last night and went perfect from the free throw line. The Rockets did get contributions from a lot of the places. PJ Tucker had 17 points, a couple of huge threes. Tyson Chandler came off the bench and scored 10 points and grabbed 5 rebounds for the Rockets, 13 and 12 for Capella. But once again, the Rockets could not take advantage of the fact that Giannis fouled the game with about 5.5 minutes left in the game. And with the Bucks not panicking, they showed the championship resolve that the Bucks have been looking to find all year, and they're going to have to find if they're going to win in the Eastern Conference. Like I said, 117-111 was the opener for the Bucks on the road in Houston. Out in Oakland, it's not Oakland anymore. Actually, San Francisco now. The LA Clippers and the Golden State Warriors finished off the 2 games on TNT on Thursday night by opening up the Chase Center, and really it wasn't much to open. The LA Clippers spoiled the opening night for the Golden State Warriors, and you could tell this Warriors team is not completely the same, and it's going to be an interesting season in Oakland. 141-122 was the Clippers' victory in San Francisco last night. It was really another Kawhi Leonard coming coming to play the Warriors and doing what he did last year in the finals. Leonard had 21 points in 2.5 quarters. This game was not close throughout. It started off bad for Golden State and it ended bad. 21 points from Leonard, but really it was a lot of the Clippers doing what the Clippers do best, which is getting contributions from everywhere. The Clippers team high was 22 points and assists from Lou Williams. They got 18 points from Montrezl Harrell. You got 20 points from Patrick Patterson. It was an entire team effort. 7 guys in double figures. JaMychal Green had 9 points in 15 minutes. So you almost could say 8 players were in double figures for the Clippers. Clippers got off to a hot start early in the game. And once the Clippers got off to that hot start, they never trailed. The closest score was 35-29 at the end of the quarter. End of the first, but the game was not close throughout. Once again, the Clippers got off to a humongously quick start, and once they got off to that fast start, it was pretty much over. It was 14-0 before the Warriors got their first basket, and it was by D'Angelo Russell who scored the team's first 7 points to start the game, and then Curry hit a 3-pointer. But at that point, you can tell that Golden State was pretty much out of it. Draymond Green kind of got a little scared, caught a little elbow to the eye on a screen, but outside of that, he didn't. He came back. And really, the Warriors are just a different team. They're not as deep as they used to. In the third quarter, what we always saw for the last few years was the Warriors made that run to get back in the game or take a lead or put the game away. Tonight, it was the Clippers that did that. The Clippers had the early season run, and then at that point, when they had the run in the third quarter, it put the game down. I think it was like 26, 27 points in that part of the game, and then pretty much the fans were heading for the exits at that point. And it's just a different look for the Warriors. They're going to have nights where they score a lot of points, but in the NBA, if you score 122 points, and most nights you're supposed to win, last night the Clippers scored 141 in the game. Once again, Stephen Curry had 23 points. He struggled for the Warriors all night long. He finished with a grand total of 23 points. He shot, on Steph Curry, like Curry finished with the game, 8 of 20. But 2 of 11 from downtown. D'Angelo Russell, 20 points, 8 rebounds. He did go 4 of 8 from beyond the arc. It's just this, watching the Warriors is going to be it's not the same Warriors team that we've seen last few years. And with Klay Thompson potentially missing the entire season with the recovering from his ACL injury, the Warriors might not have the firepower to even make themselves a full-fledged contender in the Western Conference. Final game on the stretch of the schedule last night was up in Detroit. This was the earliest of the 3 games last night. The Atlanta Hawks opened their season up as they take on the Detroit Pistons. And in the beginning of this game, this was the Trigger Trae show. Yes. When I say Trigger Trae, Trae Young went out and just started firing from the second the game started. Young was doing he was basically pulling his own Steph Curry impression. The Hawks looked super impressive last night. And being a team in Detroit had just won the night before, this was so much on Trae Young. Young started the game fast. Young was getting shots open early, was knocking them down, getting his teammates involved. And this is going to be a dangerous Hawks team. Young had 26 points by the time he realized it. I think he had 26 in the first half. He finished the game with 38 points and 9 assists and 7 rebounds. Hawks won 117-100 in Detroit last night. They got contributions from Jabari Parker, a guy who came off the bench. He had 18 points off the bench. John Collins gave him 20 and 10 for the Hawks. But really, it was so much about what Young was doing. He was getting to the rim. He was hitting his typical 30-foot shots. I think he hit one in the second quarter from about 37 feet out. He was hitting them almost everywhere. Pistons, they were kind of a little lethargic coming off the victory last on Wednesday night against the Pacers. They got a big game from Derrick Rose at 27 points in the game. Andre Drummond, another big game from Drummond. But they did not get like the supporting cast production the night before. Luke Kennard only had 13 points off the bench. The Pistons bench played really well. Like I said, Rose got the 27 off the bench. They had 8 more points from Langston Galloway. But the contribution they had the night before, Reggie Jackson only scored 15 points. He scored 5 points in 15 minutes. And Marcus Morris had 7 points. It wasn't a pretty game. Tony Snell had 9. Detroit didn't get the contribution they got the night before. You could tell they were a tired team. Detroit didn't shoot the ball as well as they did the night before, shot 41% from the floor. Atlanta played some really, really good defense on them all night. Like I said, Jabari Parker was huge off the bench. They got contribution from a lot of guys. DeAndre Bembry had 8 points. Evan Turner had 9 points. They had different guys score baskets. And rookie Dante Hunter had 14 points. in 25 minutes. So before we start talking about the Friday games, of course, the stat of the night, we have to give that to Trae Young. 38 points, 9 assists, 7 rebounds, 11 of 21 from the floor. He got to the line 12 times, 10 for 12 from the line, hit 6 3-pointers, and most importantly, he basically controlled the Hawks offense and took down the Detroit Pistons. And now the 6 turnovers are a bit of a high number, but Trae is kind of like the good and bad. He's going to have nights like this, but he looks like he's improved in year number 2. His body's in better shape. He looks like the game is starting to slow down for him. If the game slows down, Trae Young with that shot and that court vision is going to be a terror and a problem. So let's get ready for the Friday night games. It's a 9-game schedule on Friday night, capped off by the game that is going to be out in Boston. The early game at 7 p.m. Eastern time. The game is not on national TV. The Toronto Raptors go to the Boston Celtics, a matchup of two teams that are going to be in the playoffs. The Raptors won on opening night, beating the New Orleans Pelicans, and the Boston Celtics fell to the Philadelphia 76ers on Wednesday night. This is the Boston home opener. So the first game for guys like Kemba Walker and Enes Kanter. Walker especially wants to bounce back after a 4 for 18 performance on opening night. The Raptors won their game in overtime behind Fred VanVleet's career high in points, but the problem is the Raptors are only playing 8 players. It's going to be real interesting to see if Nick Nurse was going to open up the rotation a little bit more and maybe find a 9th and 10th guy so you won't be playing so many minutes between those 8 guys they have on the roster, especially, this part of the early part of the season. The 2 ESPN games tonight will start at 8 o'clock out in Dallas, in New Orleans, as the New Orleans Pelicans home opener happens tonight as they take on the Dallas Mavericks. The new look Mavericks that have the dynamic duo of Kristaps Porzingis and Luka Doncic won their opening game over the Washington Wizards, and the Pelicans, like I said, fell to the Toronto Raptors on opening night. The Pelicans will not have Zion Williamson once again, which kind of takes away a little bit of the luster from the ESPN part of the side of things, but the Pelicans have talent everywhere. Drew Holiday needs to play a lot better. He struggled the opening night of the season. Brandon Ingram had a good game, and it's going to be interesting to see if Alvin Gentry still plays those 12 guys over 10 minutes like he did the other night. Maybe short his rotation, give guys longer minutes. Hey, find some more minutes for Josh Hart, who actually had a double-double, played really well opening night. And also, let's see if he gets more Lonzo Ball action. See more of that improved jump shot. Ball had knocked down a huge 3-pointer earlier in the game, had 8 points and 5 assists right around 24 minutes. Let's see if he gets more playing time tonight. Late game out in Los Angeles. Utah Jazz, Los Angeles Lakers get ready to get themselves going in the Lakers home opener. Yes, I did say a Lakers home opener because the opening game of the season was against the Clippers in the same building, but the Lakers were considered the road team. The Lakers have a lot to look about after the first night of the season. Can they find some more outside shooting other than Danny Green? Will the Lakers stop force feeding Anthony Davis? And can LeBron James give it a full 48 minutes at the point guard position, or as many minutes as possible? Will head coach Frank Vogel figure out a backup point guard because LeBron can't play the point guard position the entire game? On the Jazz side of things, Mike Conley will not shoot 1 of 18 again, which is a good thing because Bojan Bogdanovic is still being slowed by an ankle injury that he suffered in the Jazz's opening night victory on Wednesday night. That game will be 10:30. That'll be the late game on ESPN. The game I'll be watching tonight, and the game that's going to be the most interesting game and the most fun game of the night, will be out in Sacramento. Blazers take on the Kings. Yes, the Kings will be out without Marvin Bagley for the next couple of weeks, but the Kings are one of the more entertaining teams in the NBA. They'll fly up and down the court. And in the matchup of Buddy Hield of De'Aaron Fox versus the potential all-star backcourt of Dame Lillard and CJ McCollum, it's always going to be fireworks there. Remember, McCollum didn't have a very good opening night game for the Blazers when they lost the Nuggets. Expect him to bounce back. And I expect De'Aaron Fox to have a better game too after he struggled in opening night. Other games on the schedule: Hornets take on the Timberwolves at 7 o'clock out in Charlotte. Can the Hornets win 2 in a row? Minnesota, they surprised Brooklyn opening night with a 127-126 win. I expect to see a lot better in the game from Terry Rozier. He struggled in the first game of the season. In the Battle of New York, Knicks and Nets at 7:30 on the YES Network, MSG. It's the Battle of New York. Kyrie Irving scored 50 in his first game. Let's see what he does encore for round 2. The Knicks should be much more healthy with Mitchell Robinson being back in the lineup. Bulls Grizzlies at 8 o'clock. A battle of two teams that are going in two different directions. The Grizzlies couldn't get it together down in Miami opening night, and the Bulls had a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter and blew it in Charlotte. I expect the Bulls exactly to have a better night than they did last night. Washington and Oklahoma City, two teams are kind of trending in different directions. The Wizards couldn't get a good footing on opening night in Dallas. Bradley Beal was so bad at the point where Bradley Beal got ejected. They couldn't find scoring from perimeter. Beal struggled as well too. Washington could be in trouble. Oklahoma City had a good chance to win that opening night game against Utah. Chris Paul and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had good games. The real question is, can they find more bench scoring more than Hamid Diallo, who only got 13 points? Oklahoma City should be pumped because it is their home opener. I like the Thunder tonight in that game as well, too. Suns and Jazz. It's the final game on the schedule. Nuggets and Suns will be out in Denver. Another high-scoring game potentially on NBA League Pass. The Suns won their opener and won in dominating fashion in the second half, outscoring the Sacramento Kings 70-39. The Nuggets struggled, but Jokic woke up in the fourth quarter because he was in foul trouble most of the game. He had 16 points of his 20 in the fourth quarter. I love the Nuggets in this game tonight, and let's see if Michael Porter Jr. gets some run tonight. So, you've heard what happened in the NBA. You caught yourself back up. Now, it is Friday. We'll be back on Monday for the Rally Association podcast, catching you back up with everything you missed on the weekend. It's a lot of games going on this weekend. So once again, follow me on Twitter at Danny3 Thompson, DANY3 Thompson on Twitter, as well as the Rally Association podcast. Follow us everywhere you're going to be able to find us on any type of podcasting format: Spreaker, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Podcast Addict. We're all in all those places. And follow Rally Association online at rallyassociation.com for everything you need all NBA. So for myself, Danny Thompson, we'll catch you guys on Monday. Peace.